A lot of people left comments for me to review this film, and I always say, be careful what you wish for. Hey guys, this is Alachia, and this is my review for Past Lives. This is a film that is written and directed by Celine Song, which I think she says is semi-autobiographical, and stars Greta Lee, T. Young, and John Magaro. And it is about two 12-year-olds who live in Seoul, Na Young and Hae Sung, who are really good friends, who have a very strong connection and bond together, but are separated when Na Young's parents decide they're going to immigrate to Toronto. But they reconnect later, Na Young now going by the name Nora, via Facebook. And so 12 years after they separate, they reunite on Facebook, reconnect, and then kind of, as life goes on, drift apart again, and then finally come together 12 years later when Hae Sung is visiting New York City and visits Nora and her husband. And this is supposed to be an exploration of lives that could have been, maybe should have been, but just weren't. And the whole concept of hanging on to, or the damages and the possible consequences of not letting go or moving on. And it's supposed to be this wistful, sad, romantic story about two people who were probably meant for each other, but it just, through life and circumstances and, in my opinion, miscommunication, just didn't work out. And unfortunately for me, this film follows in the footsteps of much, much better films. The Before trilogy is one of my favorite romance trilogies of all time. The Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight by Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke, starring Julie Delpy, is just so phenomenal. The way that those scripts are written just feels so real. And the bond and the connection between the characters, the chemistry between the characters, you just feel it. You just feel them drowning in each other. And it's just great. And of course, like a Linklater film does, he filmed the trilogy with actual years spanning between them. So the characters are playing themselves when they're just 20 and then 30 and then 40. So they are actually represented in their true age. Whereas this film, Greta Lee and T.U., they're beautiful people. They look great. But by no means do I believe that they're 20 years old when I'm seeing them in this film. So that was kind of a little jarring because I was like, that is not a 20-year-old woman. Like, that is not a 20-year-old dude. Like, why do they look so old? And then the other movie that this film reminds me of, but I feel like did a lot better job than Past Lives, was 5 centimeters per second. It's an anime film by Makoto Shinkai, I think 2007-ish. Beautiful, poetic, wistful, very sad film. Again, similar plot line. So two kids who were 12 years old have a great bond together. They love each other. And they just definitely have this connection. And one of them gets transferred away, and then they reconnect again later on in life as they're young adults. And then they separate again. And it is that kind of look of what it is when someone spends their whole life living in regret versus someone living their life in the present and moving on. And this Past Lives just was so empty for me. I know a lot of people are going to be really upset because I understand why they love the films, but if you have seen the Before trilogy or 5 centimeters per second, you'll understand like what was missing in this film. These two people, Nora and Hae Sung, they're just like, it's like a romantic relationship between two of the most boring people in the world. The most vanilla and bland, basic connection that feels like, why is this a story about longing and regret and wondering about two people who have, I would say, less intimacy and passion than I do from the person who checks out my groceries. I felt like there was nothing there. They would talk about things like the weather and they would be so matter of fact, and neither of them had any sense of humor, which I feel like when you connect with someone, you really connect with someone, you laugh with them, right? You really bond and you laugh with them. They make you light up. And neither of these people ever lit up. They were so dull. I was so upset. I had to take a break from watching this film because I couldn't believe I was following these two people for so long, thinking this is a story about two of the most uninteresting people possible, who have no introspection, who have no depth to them, nothing. There's just nothing about them that makes them feel real. They feel like they were written for a play. And I don't know. I know a lot of people felt an emotional connection to this film. And I understand if you've ever been in a relationship that just didn't work out and you really felt like this was meant to be, and you're left living the rest of your life with that hollowness, that emptiness of, God, I really had a connection with that person and they are no longer going to be in my life. And then you grieve. You literally grieve because you have lost them. It's almost as if they had died because you're never going to see them again. They're never going to be a part of your life. That feeling you had when you're with them, it's gone forever. And it only live as a memory in your life. And so I totally understand why people connect to this type of story. But this particular story was just not done well. So if you liked Past Lives, nothing wrong with that. But I would say give those other films, a gander, because if you felt like, an absolute sense of loss and dread from this film, and you felt emotionally devastated from this film, those other films are going to fuck you up. I'm going to give Past Lives a D+ because it was so disappointing. I know a lot of people liked it, and I'm really glad that if you liked it, you enjoyed it, because I'm glad you got something out of it. And films and stories all touch us in different ways. All of our experiences will affect how we experience a film, and it's completely subjective. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of Past Lives if you watched it, and I'm sure you'll let me know if you think I'm wrong. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and if you'd like to watch more, you can click right here to watch more now. Until next time, see you on the flip side. Dum 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 dum.